I'm going to show you how to put together your first sourdough starter. So what you need for this is flour. This is strong bread flour. You need a little bit of warm water and an agent to get the process going. This is dark bread syrup, and you can use honey or a little bit of sugar. And you need a clean jar, preferably with a lid that keeps tight. So what you do is add a little bit of water, a little bit of the flour, and the starting agent. And just bring it together. Until it becomes a thick paste. There's no need to measure this, just bring it together into a thick paste. What's important is that you have everything properly mixed. There you go. Now make sure you keep everything together, so just scrape it down from the sides. And leave this closed until the next day. It has been about 1 day since we put the ingredients together for our starter, and it's time to check on it. So there is clearly activity going on because I can see a lot of bubbles, and if I open this, so can you. But there is no smell except the syrup that I used as the starter. There's no sourness to it, there's no complexity, just the sugary smell. Okay, so what we're going to do now is feed this again. So I prepared some water and some strong bread flour. And that's all we're going to need from now on. I'm going to feed it with the same amount, but you don't have to measure that perfectly. So I'll add about 2 tablespoons. And 1.5 tablespoons of water. Just get that together. Make sure you mix it well. And it's going to turn up as a thick paste. Just make sure it's properly mixed and keep it together. Just like that. Now we're going to leave this for another day. And this is my starter that I've had for 2 years, as it is. But there are remnants here from my first starter that's now 4.5 years old. And since I've managed and kept it very well and clean and fed it, and I've been tending it properly, this is now active because I fed it this morning and I'm going to use it in baking. If I smell this, there's a lot of complexity to it. There's beer in there, there's wine in there, there's old yogurt that's been turning into something else. There's yeast, there's bread, it has a lot of depth and complexity to it. So put your starter together and one day this will turn into this. It's now the morning on day 3, but we're going to change it up and feed this twice a day from now. So it's now morning and we're going to give it a feeding, and then we're going to feed it again in the afternoon. So as you can see, it's bubbling away, it's happy. But there's no lactic acid development yet, and it's very sweet and not mature at all. So it's not ready to use yet, even though it's bubbling. So we proceed like this. I'm going to discard half of this, and I've got my bin here. And I will repeat the process. This is room temperature water, and here's my strong bread flour. Just bring it together into a thick paste. Make sure it's properly mixed. Keep it together. Keep it closed and put it away, and we'll come back in the afternoon. It's now evening on day number 3 for our newly put together sourdough starter, and there are definitely a lot of signs of activity, and there is definitely fermentation taking place, because the smell has changed. There is now a sour smell to this. And as you can see, the bubbles are actually a little bit larger, and they're bursting upwards. So This now has to be fed twice a day. And since it's quite hot, in Sweden at least, the process is quickened. So we're going to repeat the steps from this morning. So I'm going to discard half of this. Add some water, still a little bit warm water, and then I've got my strong bread flour. And just stir that into a thick paste. So our little baby is starting to mature. It still needs to be kept together. So, thick paste. Just make sure you mix it properly. There we go. And we'll revisit tomorrow morning in half a day. This is now the morning on day number 4, and it's time to check on our starter. So what I can tell from looking underneath it is that there is a lot of activity going on. There's a lot of small bubbles, and that's the gases produced by the activity of the culture, the bacteria. And it's safe to say that they have established their reign over this little universe in here. And they're going to put their print on the bread made with this starter. So we're going to repeat the process from yesterday, which is discarding half and then feeding it. There is definitely a richer smell to it. There is a lot more depth and there is acidity there. And that's that lactic acid building up. Okay, so I'm gonna bin half of it. Then I'm going to add my warm-ish water, as well as my strong bread flour. Just stir that into a thick paste. Just keep it together in your container. And this culture now has a lot more food, and the process is ramping up, and this is soon ready to be used in baking, perhaps tomorrow, but we'll come back this evening and give it another feeding. It is now the evening on day number 4 for our newly put together sourdough starter, and we're going to have a look. Same as this morning, there's a lot of activity here, and it is definitely time to give this a feeding. So there is a change in the pattern here, because this starter is now starting to dome, and that shape tells me that it's soon ready to be used in baking. Perhaps tomorrow, which is day number 5. But we'll repeat the process from this morning. So I'm going to discard half of this. And then feed it with a little bit of warmish water, as well as my strong bread flour. Just going to stir that together. Make sure you mix it properly. And it's going to turn up as a thick paste. And just keep that together in the center of your container. And we'll come back and see tomorrow, day number 5. It is now morning on day number 5, and it's time to check on our sourdough starter that we just recently put together. And this is now officially a mature starter, because it has doubled in size, and this is ready to be used in baking, but I'm going to give this a feeding and then use it in the afternoon instead. If I smell this, this is now very sour, and that's that lactic acid, carbon dioxide, that's being produced by the bacteria. And you can probably tell that there is a lot of bubbles in this, so there is a lot of activity. But I'm not going to discard half of it this time, because I need all of it. And I'm just going to feed it like we did. So a little bit of warm-ish water and my strong bread flour. as before, just make sure you stir it together and mix it properly. And it's going to turn up into a thick paste. And keep it together. And I'll be using this on day number 5, afternoon, for baking. It's now about half a day since I gave my freshly put together starter its last feeding before its first use in baking. And you can clearly see that it has more than doubled in size, and there is a lot of activity in this container. If you listen to this, you can hear that popping. That's all the gases that's making the container want to expand, and that creates that little pressure. So you can see that there is it was doming, but now it has flattened out. So this is in its prime to use, because it's on the receding end of the fermentation, and it smells of deep sourness. So this is definitely good to use in baking from now on. And just remember that when I put this together, it's during summertime in Sweden, and it has been very warm. So if you find that your starter takes a little bit longer, don't worry, just keep to the same schedule, but perhaps add a few hours or keep your starter at a high place inside your kitchen, because generally it's a little bit warmer the higher up you go. And remember that humidity plays a part, because it's the water that is the promoting factor of growth of bacteria. So just keep that in mind, but it'll take 5 or 6 days depending on the temperature. But yeah, put your starter together and start baking.